Hey guys, welcome back. In the last session, I have created the transaction entity class. In this session, what I'll do is I'll be creating the transaction repository to store the transaction details to the NSK bank. So I'll be quickly going to the repos folder or repos directory or repos package. I'll be right clicking on this repos. I'll be going to the new. I'll be creating the new interface called transaction repository. So this is the interface which I am going to created this interface, transaction repository interface. This transaction repository interface, okay, so we'll be performing all types of operations like creating the adding the transaction details to the NSK bank, retrieving the transaction details from the NSK bank, deleting the transaction details from the NSK bank, updating the transaction details from the NSK bank. Okay, all these operations, it will be done by the transaction repository. But here, how it will be doing it, what exactly this transaction repository will be extending so that it can perform all these operations. Okay, so we will be extending JPA repository. We will be extending the JPA repository, and to the JPA repository, we are informing that, say, hey JPA repository, you want to store the transaction details. You want to store the transaction details. And the primary key of this transaction details type is long. I need to provide that details over here. That's it. Simple. Okay. So what we have done, we have extended the JPA repository and we have given the transaction class and the primary key details to the JPA repository. So tomorrow, if we are performing any type of operation like adding the transaction details, getting the transaction details, it will understand that it is regarding to the transaction class you are doing the operations. So it will be adding only the transaction. It will be going to the transaction class and it will be finding this primary key and it will be reading all these values. Okay, and it will be setting the values to the database as well. Okay, so we have created the transaction repository interface and it will be extending the JPA repository. Now this is a normal interface which is extending the JPA repository. Now I want to make this as the repository interface. I'll be using the stereotype annotation called at repository on the top of transaction repository. Okay, so that's fine. So once you do it, once you write at repository on the top of transaction repository class, it will be acting as one of the repository interface. Okay. So in this session, what we have done, we have created the interface and we have extended the JPA repository, and we are given the at repository on top of the transaction repository interface. I'll be stopping the session over here. In the next session, I'll be discussing on the transaction service. Okay. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you for watching.